Hello there, everybody. Hello there. Pastor Felicia here with another episode of Positive Tea with Fee. It has definitely been a while since I've seen you guys, a few weeks, and I've definitely missed you. I hope everybody is doing well. And I'm really honored that several of you have continued to reach out to me and support Change Life, which is a one of the Change Life Educational Virtual Ministries, one of the ministries that I pastor, and also Positive Outcomes Ministries, which is the ministry that I founded and that I pastor. And I just appreciate all of the support, and I'm very happy to have those who are consistently here week after week. It means a lot. So I want to say thank you. Sorry about my tardiness. There have been some storms, and in certain areas, it does want to kind of mess with the internet, but we'll get through it. So the title that I chose for today is When Life Keeps Lifing. That's pretty much what has been going on in my world. And to say that and showcase the resilience of that. Um, Sorry about that. It makes a big difference because I want to give full transparency to you guys about the journey and the struggles that I've had during this time. Um, a lot of you guys may or may not know that the year for my mom's passing came up on the 19th of last month. And during February, I tried to stay as upbeat as I could during that journey. I tried to honor her in every way that I could and reminisce and just feel all the feelings that I felt like I needed to embrace, because grief is definitely a journey. It's not something that you can prepare for or really know how it's going to be. I also had the flu for a couple of weeks um, this month as well, and some other um, things that my father had been dealing with. And long story short, seasonal depression came in as well. We live in Arkansas, which is a beautiful state, but the weather is very bipolar. And so that doesn't really do our mental health any favors. And my normal coping skills and my go tos, they just really weren't cutting it. And so I had to really balance things and rely on my support system, my inner circle, and also take care of me in a different way. And for me, full transparency, a lot of that meant relaxation, a lot of that meant refocus, and a lot of it meant a little bit of isolation, not in a negative way. I feel like we've discussed many times before, when life starts lifing, as it does for a lot of us all the time, that isolation is not always a good thing. When you're feeling down and you're feeling sad, or you're feeling overwhelmed or stressed or burnout, too much isolation can be a negative thing. But I do feel that a certain amount of isolation within reason is good. And so I had to do a lot of that to rebalance myself and to just really understand that because my mother meant so much to me and was obviously such a large part of my life, that the grief and the sadness is so massive and so overpowering that I will be in the middle of something, like I was a few times at the end of February and the beginning of March, where I am in the middle of an activity and it just hits me all over again. And there was a point where I wasn't really able to get my balance because of that. Um, all the talking in the world, all the therapy in the world, all of the crying sessions in the world, sometimes it just doesn't cut it. And I stumbled upon a period of time where it was very overwhelming, in addition to a lot of other things that were coming up. And so I had to step back. I've missed you guys. I've missed a few of the life coaching consultations that I do a couple of times a month, prayer sessions, and just being able to hear your journeys and be there for you. Still doing ministry here and there. Of course, I do have a team of people to support me. So when I was dealing with the flu and I just wasn't myself and my voice wasn't up to par, they were, of course, ready to support and ready to be there for me. But with my own ministry and a lot of the things that I do as far as outreach, as far as supporting individuals, a lot of those things were put on the back burner. And there was a couple of days that I thought I would be okay. I know that on the 8th, I had every intention of getting back in here and, doing a show, and I just wasn't able to do it. I think another thing that has been interesting on this journey of grief and life, just lifing in the meantime, and you get to the point where you have to cover and circle life's other responsibilities and struggles with your grief. Because in the meantime, whether it's a good situation or a bad situation or just a routine thing, your grief is still there. And so I'm learning how to cope with that. I'm learning how to bring my grief along with me most of the time, because most of the time it's not as psychologically rehabilitating. Most of the time, me making sure my dad's health is okay, thinking in my mind, oh my goodness, I don't want to lose you too. Um, and feeling guilty sometimes because I want to pick up the phone and call my mom and I'm not enjoying the moment because she's not here. And in those moments, feeling like I don't want to enjoy myself. I don't have the desire to laugh at certain times because my mom is no longer here. Facing those feelings and coping with those feelings, and just really being able to place my grief around life while it's lifing, and getting the best balance for me has been important, because slowly but surely I'm getting back to where I need to be to get back in there and work in my purpose. And I felt good about it. The times where I've had to just take a step back, I felt responsible. I felt resilient enough to know when it's time to start up things again. And I know that sharing this part of my journey is not what everyone does, because this is the part of the journey where I'm having to take care of Felicia, the part of the journey where there were days where I cried all through the day off and on, and, felt like I was a little girl again shopping with her when Super Walmart first came to Forest City and she was picking out a dress for me for the memorial, or her dressing me in cute little ruffle socks and little shoes and everything because I was like her baby doll. Um, and just her kind words and her firm stance on letting God be the head of your life, no matter what. And the consistency of the two things in her life that never changed, no matter what she was doing, what stage, what age, her smile and her Bible. Two things that were always there. And sometimes I just don't want to not think those thoughts. Sometimes I want to sit in that a lot. And so after the year anniversary of her death was there, I was numb. I acknowledged it. I celebrated her life in my own way. But then a couple of weeks after that, I started to just really feel everything all over again. And I've had to deal with that. And I've had to understand that grief is love that feels like there's nowhere for it to go. But because of the enormous strength of that love, it's heavy, and it's something I'm going to carry with me for the rest of my days. I miss my mother so much. I speak of her in the presence a lot because to me, she's still here. And it's rough, it's tough because even though we have loved ones who pass on, that's only the physical portion of them. And we mourn that because we're human and it's a big difference. And even us who do believe in God and do believe in the eternal soul and all of that, it still hurts. It hurts a lot. And so dealing with that human part, the little girl inside of me that just misses her mom, and without anything else being considered, it had taken a major toll on my life. And it had really attached itself to a lot of other things. One thing that's really scary about grieving is because the other people in your life, you're like, well, is this going to happen? Am I going to lose this person too? Am I going to have to deal with this? And it's almost a selfishness because you're like, I'm already dealing with all of this pain, all of this heaviness that comes along, with this person not being here. And to even imagine that your life is about to someone else is about to be subtracted from your life in any way is so scary. And in those moments, I didn't want to be strong. I didn't want to be positive. I didn't want to be personal. I just wanted life to life and do its thing. And I allowed myself to feel those emotions. And I remember when I was at the doctor and they were, finding out, what was going on or whatever. Was it just a cold? Was it COVID? What was going on? And she swabbed and we were waiting on the test to come back. And she was like, you have the flu and that. And I was at that moment, it's kind of like I just wanted to get my antibiotics. I wanted to get out of there and I wanted to get rest. Not because I had the flu, but because that was one of the days where I was thinking about my mom and all her natural remedies. And I remember the night before I had went to the store and I had got a little thing of honey, got some echinacea tea, lemon, and just all that. And it just made me feel her presence. And I remember just wanting to get out of there, thanking the doctor, just kind of being like, okay. So I wanted to be alone with my thoughts about my mom. having the flu is a serious thing. You know what I mean? It's annoying. It can be debilitating and all that. And it was pretty rough on me. The cough lingered and lingered on. But at that moment, I just wanted my mom. I wanted to think about my mom, and I just wanted to rest, and I didn't feel good. And my strength was depleted the next day because of all of those emotions. And I remember thinking, looking at myself in the mirror, and I was like, Felicia, it's okay. It's okay to let life just life, you know? I didn't want to be positive. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to do anything but take my medication and lay there and think about mom. And that's what I did. And, you know, I thank God that I was able to get through that period, because for about 48 hours, I was just in total fatigue and total despair. And I got through it. And that was probably the toughest part. And when life is lifing and you are finding cracks and crevices to place your grief, sometimes you don't allow it to get in. I'm learning to let life with my grief, whether it's the flu or whether it's the stress at work, or, something that I'm dealing with that I'm working out in other areas of my life. My grief is still able to come along with me. I don't feel guilty about it. I allow it to come along on the journey, and I know that it's always going to have its place. And most of the time, when I think of my mother, although she's passed on, it's good thoughts, it's happy thoughts, it's memories of her at different stages of her life, and they bring me joy. But 20% of that is pure misery and sadness. And I've gotten to the point where I appreciate the presence of both. I appreciate the presence of both. And, you know, I I'm okay. I'm getting my strength back. I made a very, very serious decision um, about some areas in my life. And it literally felt like a weight was lifted off of my shoulders in making those decisions. And there's always those areas that just seem so in control. But while life was lifing, I did have one area of my life, the area that has always been extremely structured. No matter what was going on, this was good. But it started to get shaky, and it's a different experience for me. So I had to take a step back from that as well. And it felt embarrassing at first. I just didn't know where to put it. But I also felt relief instantly, because I allowed myself to experience something different within this lifing journey, because I no longer have my mom to call. I no longer have her here to give me wisdom. I remember all the wisdom that she gave me when she was here. But as a woman myself, and making certain decisions about different aspects of my life, I'm proud to say that I've taken good care of Felicia. I'm proud to say that I have not been positive about a lot of things. I've allowed myself to be sad, and I've allowed myself this time, and I've been able to practice what I preach, and knowing that it's been okay to say, I have not been okay in March of 2024. I've not been okay. And I'm more resilient because of it. I've learned more about me because of it. And I'm here to let you guys know that on this journey of life, even when you are destined and dedicated to staying in your purpose, there are still going to be times where life just keeps life. There's not going to be anything you can do about it. There's not going to be anything you can say about it. It's simply life. And it's simply the twists and the turns, whether it's grief, depression, despair, discouragement. There's just going to be those dark times. And the more we deal with those and bounce back, the more we're going to recognize what works for us, how we need to do what we need to do, whether it's a physical setback, a mental setback, whatever it is. We're going to be able to do that. We're going to be able to be down a little bit, but then we're going to come back even stronger. Like my dad always says, if you hadn't seen it yet, keep living, and you will. Keep striving, and you will. The alternative is to give up, and that's simply not an option. And I really have missed you guys. Thank you, everybody who's tuning in on this live. I really, really appreciate your support. I really appreciate you understanding this human side of me, and everyone knows, I speak from a godly perspective because I do believe in the Lord and Savior. And prayer has definitely helped me get balanced and get centered. And for whatever you believe in, always know that to thine own self be true. You are not going to be good to anyone else. You're not going to be effective in anything else long term if you don't take care of you. If you forget about you, things are going to start not quite going the way they're supposed to, because you'll still be pouring, okay? If that's what you want to do, you'll still be pouring, okay? But if you keep pouring out into others or this project or that project, and you're not pouring back into yourself, you're not refilling the cup, then eventually it's going to be empty and there's not going to be anything to give to others or for yourself. So you got to take care of you. Life has definitely been lifing, and I just want you guys to know that I haven't forgotten about you. I'm still here. I'm still as visionary as I always was. And I'm going to answer every inbox, every text, every email as I see fit. I know there's a lot of things I've just kind of been reacting to, like with an emoji or a star or a heart. But if it's something that I know needs a response, I'm going to be responding. Bear with me. And just know that I am still thinking about you even when we don't talk. I still love you. And I'm still wishing light, love, and positivity in your journey. And no matter where I am or what I'm doing, I'm still here. Okay? This too shall pass. I love you guys so much. I will see you again next Friday for another edition of Positive Tea with Fee. Love you. Signing off. Bye-bye.